believe in change and we're prepared for it with new techniques and new approaches. And as for our part, we feel that you're the best pieces of manpower available in this whole region.
Let it go out there today, baby.
3, 2, 1.
And once again, our mighty ship is back on course.
Welcome to the Sports Talk with Devan Wade podcast.
Oh, mama, there goes that man.
You the man. Ladies and gentlemen, star of our show.
Welcome to another edition of the Sports Talk with Devan Wade podcast. Devan Wade with you, and of course, Reggie Brown, former NFL wide receiver and member of the special teams unit. And first and foremost, before I bring in Reggie, Warner, thank you for all the support and all of the text messages and all of you guys subscribing to the YouTube channel. Please go to the channel, The Devan Wade, and subscribe. And, of course, you can call me 24 hours a day on the sports line, 832-941-6614, 832-941-6614. That way this can be interactive. And I know with the YouTube, and, of course, you know, it opens up a whole different can of worms. Still, for all of those who listen to the audio only, thank you for that. We try to keep that in mind as we sort of delve into the video space. But so far, so good. We continue to get better. We'll continue to work on technology, waiting on Reg to for his man cave, you know, but he's ordering Italian marble. So, you know, that's been with the tariffs, it's a bit of a problem coming in.
Do it. You know how we do it, dog.
Welcome aboard, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. Glad to be here. It's a wild week in sports, huh?
Yes, it is, man. It is a really wild week in sports. And I tell you what, man, before we start, shout out to my late father. Today is his birthday. He would have been 81. That's hard to imagine. He's been gone for a while now. But, yeah, he would have been 81. And, you know, so thinking about my pops today. So happy birthday, Devan Wade. So, yeah, man, a lot going on in the world of sports. Let's start at home. SWAC. Texas Southern wins 3 in a row, 3-1 in conference, and Alabama State loses. I'll let you start with your team, and then I'll talk about mine. Alabama State loses on the last play of the game, can't get into the end zone. Sort of paint a picture for me because obviously I was working. I didn't get a chance to see it, so tell me all about it.
Well, one, it was a great game, great atmosphere, Jackson State's homecoming, and so all the elements were there for a great game. And you know, Bama State would be up by 7, and then Jackson would go up by 10, and then Bama State would go up by 14, and just back and forth. And then, you know, it's crazy when the game comes down to goal to go on the 2 with 1 second left, and Alabama State runs a play and keeps the ball in Body's hand and doesn't get in. A lot of people at Bama State had a problem with the play call. I didn't necessarily have a problem with the play call. I mean, you keep the ball in Body's hand and you ask him to make a play and with an option, and unfortunately, Jackson State just made a hell of a play on defense. They ran to the ball, they took everything out. And,
who was it? Andrew Body who got tackled with the football, or went on a rollout?
They ran like a sweep, quarterback sweep, with the opportunity to throw it to the running back, and so he ran, and their defense swarmed to him, and he threw it to the running back like on the 1. But their defense, man, they just made a hell of a play, and the guy made a tackle right there on the sideline just when he was about to jump in. So great job by them, great football game, and, you know, that's how the cookie crumbles, you know.
Yeah, I would imagine the pressure was mounting on Eddie Robinson, of course, a special teams member emeritus. So, I mean, of course, he was on the podcast before you, but I would imagine a little bit more pressure on him in that. I mean, I look at it from just my perspective, and I'm talking about me. I thought that, and seeing them early on, I thought that they clearly have performed like the best team in the conference. Now, Prairie View has been rolling too, but we saw Prairie View, and essentially we at Texas Southern had Prairie View beaten, and we didn't finish the job, so they won. But I didn't look at them as like this powerhouse. They continue to rack up wins, close wins. I think Alcorn missed a field goal that would have won the game for them. So it's not like, you know, Prairie View was just dominating. I look more so at Alabama State, and I thought, okay, this is theirs. And I just thought that Jackson, and maybe historically it's because FAMU's been the bump in the road, and obviously when during the prime years Jackson State was in the mix, but I didn't see them as the impediment that I probably should have. What's your take on that? Was the
Well,
pressure
I
on
think the
Alabama State?
biggest issue with Bama State has been the defense. I mean, the defense has given up 25 or so points in every game, and that puts a lot of pressure on your quarterback and your offense to make plays, and they've been doing that. And even in this game, the offense kept answering the bell, but, sooner or later, if you don't get that defense together, you're going to lose a football game, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and I look to, and especially if both teams continue to win, is a must win. It's a must win TSU Alabama State. Now, there's a lot of football that'll happen between now and that matchup in Montgomery, but Tigers win going into homecoming. I saw something that I don't think I've ever seen in a game that I've called. 4 lost fumbles by Grambling State, 3 quarterbacks, which we see that in the SWAC from time to time. But the quarterback T-Set, the starter, was out with an ankle injury, but eventually they turned back to him. But 4 fumbles, and Texas Southern we get out of there with a 1-point lead, victory. And so that's 3 in a row for Texas Southern. Coach Dishman is rolling. The offensive line, they have found something in the dedication to the running game. Renfro had another 100-plus yard football game in consecutive games. So they found something. Not as confident that this team can pass if they need to pass. Not seen enough of it yet. Although, like I said, if you keep winning, you can kind of work on those things, and homecoming will be an opportunity for them to kind of work some of that stuff out as well against a lesser opponent. But I don't know how much you get out of that a matchup like the one we have on Saturday.
I'll just say this: sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and I think that's what's been going on with Texas Southern. But nobody cares when you win the game. Uh,
Yeah, I think they're good. I just don't think that the passing game is where it needs to be if you forecast this thing out going up against a team like Alabama State and some of the other challenges you have coming up.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. There's in every league, there's the bottom teams that everybody understands that, but it's a whole different thing when you start going up against the tougher people in your conference, and now you got to play for 40 minutes, and you got to make plays in the passing and the running game, and then that's when you find out who teams really, really are. But Chris is my teammate, so I'm happy for him and happy for Texas Southern.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, man, Valley was a better team than I think a lot of people thought. We caught Pine Bluff after they came off a huge victory the week before, and we just totally dominated and shut them down. Grambling is Grambling, but they played well. And again, I think more of their issues were self-inflicted. But I do think the Tigers defensively have found some things. And I mean, they get pretty good pass rush with the front four. They don't like to blitz a lot. And that running game in the trenches, this is a point of emphasis for Coach Dishman. And he got it done. I mean, they got it
Well,
done, and I'm
it's
happy.
something to be said about momentum, man. And you win a football game, and then you win another one, and then you win another one, and all of a sudden you start believing what the coaches are preaching. So yeah.
Yeah, so next up we homecoming week off, Alcorn, then we go to Montgomery. So yeah, and so it'll be interesting to watch. Just sort of seeing the things. Obviously, the Tigers are chasing Prairie View. You either need a 3-way tie or you need Prairie View to lose 2 games, but we still have some time left to go in this SWAC season. But I think down the stretch is going to be very interesting, and I think the Alabama State loss makes the conference a lot more interesting, and we'll have to see if that's just a one-off and can they recover from that. Do you see Jackson State losing a game in conference?
I don't, I hope they do. Obviously the quarterback is really, really good. They're solid on offense again. They gave up a lot of points against Bama State. They're giving up a lot of points. So defense is a question mark. So whenever you have that, any given Sunday, just like with what happened with Bama State, obviously the defense can't hold up at the end. The offense brings them back and puts puts us in a chance to win the game, and it just doesn't happen. But you got to get that defense right. The deeper you get into the season, the more things are on the line.
So, speaking of college football, let's transition to James Franklin being fired at Penn State. And that has been much more of a controversial topic around the sports landscape than you might think, because, this was a team that was supposed to go to the national championship. They were in the top 5 2 weeks ago. And you lose in double overtime to Oregon. Okay, that happens, which is a knock on him because I think he's 4-21 against
Right.
top 10 opponents.
Right.
And then you lose a game you can't lose in UCLA, a team that had not won a game. And so that was pretty embarrassing and a death blow, I think, to your playoff hopes. And then you backdoor that with a loss to Northwestern. Now, are you surprised that he got fired? Some people are pointing to, he doesn't fit what they want in Happy Valley. I don't know. What do you say?
Well, he's been there for how many years?
Double digit years,
Right.
right?
So to suggest that he doesn't fit what they want in Happy Valley is kind of
well,
crazy.
you know how that goes.
But I think the bigger issue is we live in NIL days. And so when players are getting paid the amount of money that they're getting paid, and you can imagine how much money is being spent at Penn State, you got to win. And, when the expectation is this high and this high and this high, and, you haven't been able to get there, so I'm surprised by the move because he's had success, but I'm not surprised by it in terms of where we are today in the landscape of college football. And you got to win right now. That's it right now.
Well, yeah, but here's my question is, who's better? Who do you think will get you there? Do you see not you, I'm not asking you, sort of the rhetorical, do you at Penn State really think that there's a coach that can do better? He's been consistently good, for a long, long time.
Well, here's what I think. I think that, Penn State going to have players, right? Because of NIL and how they're able to navigate that. But I also think that, as you know, there's always the young hot shot, offensive coordinator out there that's maybe at a Boise State or maybe over here. And, they've been having success and people got them pegged as the next guy. I mean, you're always going to have that coach out there. And I would imagine making a move like this signals that Penn State knows who that guy is, and they're going to make sure they get him early.
Well, I think it's Matt Rule, who played at Penn State, who's had success in colleges and at Nebraska now. So I think that's probably the direction they are leaning, I would imagine. But and what I mean by him not fitting the mold, like, it's almost like when you date the lady and you don't. There's no reason to get rid of her. She's doing all the right things. You're not really that into her, but no real complaints. You can't. She doesn't create problems for you. She generally makes your life better, but she doesn't give you the butterflies. So if you had the one you want, she can kill your car. But otherwise, if it's the one that who's just gonna do the right thing, she's not gonna create problems, and you don't have any real excuse to break up with her. That's what I see with James Franklin and Penn State. As long as everything was good, yeah, okay, you're cool. You don't argue all the time. You give me general peace, but as soon as you give me some problems, you out of here. As opposed to some of these programs that hold on to coaches who do much, much worse.
Well, I agree with you to the extent that they have to have been waiting for this moment as the guy that they really don't want. They like him, but we don't want him anymore after 10 years because you went to the national championship playoffs last year. That buys
Semifinals.
you a year or two. That automatically gets you there. It really doesn't matter how you start off this year. That's going to get you one bad season. And
I think you could be a prisoner of your expectations too.
Yeah.
If you're supposed to win it all and you lose to UCLA, that's a problem. That's a big, big problem. And so from that standpoint, I think the bigger news is that $56 million buyout is insane. I mean, only surpassed by Jimbo Fisher. You're paying this guy $56 million to not work. And that tells you, like, whoever you hire, he's going to make a lot more than that. And you're not going to be able to afford to keep firing these guys quickly if they
Well,
don't
what
work
that
out.
tells you is it's some billionaires sitting around in a room and making some decisions, and it's at Penn State, because you don't pay a person 56 million unless you got alumni who say we don't care about none of that. We'll come up with the money. That's
It's
the only way that
just
happens.
another example of how crazy college sports are
Yeah.
these days. So let's talk about the NFL, man. The
Well, let me just
NFL,
ask you this right quick. What did you make of Oklahoma and Texas?
I mean, rivalry game, and if you're Texas, I mean, it never goes the way you think it's gonna go. So, obviously, Oklahoma was rolling. It doesn't surprise me that Texas won the game at all. So now I'm not surprised by that, and I think that creates a situation where Sarkisian is not on the hot seat. Not that he should be, but in this environment, if you're gonna fire James Franklin, it's a bunch of others that are on the hot seat. I didn't even mention Belichick, and they're trying to run him off after not even a whole season. That is a true train wreck down there. I'm a little surprised about North Carolina, man. Are you surprised that it's been this bad with Bill Belichick?
Yes. I'm surprised because it's Belichick and you expect him to win. Now, I'm not surprised in the fact that you cannot talk to these young people and do things the way that you did in the NFL as the head coach of New England. These kids don't care about none of that. And, you have to adjust to meet the needs. And I'm not sure if he's able to adjust at all to meet the needs of these young kids. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it is, because I can imagine he's asking for a lot of discipline and be where you're supposed to be. And I don't want to hear none of that. And I'm not sure if those kids are producing that over there and it's causing issues.
Well, I don't think that that's even the issue from what you hear. It's just he doesn't have an eye for talent. And I think that is probably the problem. That was a lot of complaints late in his career in New England. You backed the wrong guy at quarterback. You got rid of Garoppolo and others. Nobody, no real heir apparent to Tom Brady. You made some moves that didn't make sense personnel wise. And I think that you have a lot of players on that team, from what I've heard, that are not power for kids.
Well,
That's
I,
what you're
I
hearing.
think that to say an eye of talent, I think that New England speaks volumes for his ability over his tenure there to see talent, particularly
But he
talent.
wasn't in sole control though. He wasn't the
Right.
GM. Yeah.
But come on. You don't think that Belichick controlled everything over there?
I mean, again, just from what I've heard, the situation in North Carolina and late in his career, it was a lack of talent in New England after Brady left. I mean, they never found a quarterback. They weren't good across the board. He brought in people that
I
didn't
mean,
work out.
when you're an NFL team and you have somebody like Brady for 18 years, unless you the Green Bay Packers, you're not getting that next quarterback tomorrow. That's going to be some growing pains because the NFL quarterback is so hard to find. So I really think that's a little bit unfair.
But
Uh,
what did they have talent other places? And I think the
but
resounding
they
answer was
had,
not.
well, I think that they were in a total rebuild mode. Once Brady says I'm out, everything starts over. And I get what you're saying, but I just think that I always thought it would be tough for him on the college level because of the way these young people are. And
And again, I think he is relating really well to these college kids, given that he has a 24-year-old girlfriend. So maybe, yeah, maybe that's his conduit to communicating
hey,
with.
you why?
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, there's a different kind of relating going on from 26.
Yeah, I don't know how
I'm
any
just
of that is
saying, I
going.
ain't trying to get into it, but I bet he probably got 100 stacks. So You can get you a 24-year-old when you got one of that. Yeah.
No, Reggie, it's about love.
Right. Always.
It was a love
Always.
connection. They are soulmates, Reggie. It has
Right.
nothing to do with money.
She
If
would
if
never.
he worked at the local Walmart, they would be just as in love, Reggie. You
Right.
can't say that. You can't say this was based on money.
Right. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just calling out the facts of me. Love
Yeah.
is what got them together, and love gonna keep them together.
Well, like I said, this is his last stop.
Making her sign that paper.
I mean, they're not married yet, huh? I
See?
mean, does he really give a damn, to be honest with you? Does he really care?
Yeah, he care. He got.
Hey,
You
man.
know she gonna have to sign that paper, man.
Hey, my man is in the fourth quarter. I
Hey,
mean,
man, they don't care about none of that.
He in the
None
fourth
of
quarter of the
that.
game, man.
Hey.
I mean, she'll sign it. She gonna get it anyway.
Yeah.
Just might have to wait a few extra years.
And fight with his older kids and all of that. But yeah.
Well, I don't know. So it is what it is. So let's talk NFL, man. Man, let's across the board. The NFL is just not what you thought it was going to be going into this season.
At all.
And the only sure thing seems to be, for me, that Kansas City's going back to the Super Bowl. So, other than that, I didn't mean to talk about. This was not what we were going to talk about. But let me talk about AJ Brown. This guy has to go. He has to go, man. He has to go. He's not helping. They have a lot of problems in Philadelphia. They just had another edge rusher retire in the middle of the season. They cannot get Saquon going. AJ Brown complains. They were 4-0. He was complaining. It's a done deal. And then, I picked not to win the division, but to upset somebody in the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl. I picked the Commanders. They looked horrible last night. They don't look right. But let's go to AJ Brown, man. AJ got to go, man. You have to go. What else can you do for this guy? You 4-0, you complaining. Now you really going to complain. What say you?
Well, there's the double-edged sword here. Does getting him the ball make you a better football team?
Well, forcing the ball towards him is not going to make you a better football team.
Well, I'm just saying, though, you got to be finding a way to get your best players the ball. So there's this double-edged sword of, is he lying? Not necessarily, but you can't be divisive and tear up your team.
That's the point. That's the point.
That is the point.
He could be right.
Right. He can be right, but there's a way you go about it. You go to your quarterback, you go to the coaches, you have conversations, everybody grown men. And this, Haywood was like that. I mean, receivers want the ball, man. That's just the bottom line.
Who was the worst on the receivers, the biggest diva?
Who was the worst?
Who was the worst?
Haywood.
Was it?
But, I mean, if you're a receiver, you want the ball.
Yeah, and but I just think that at this point,
it's tough.
Because if you're forced to focus on him and you give him your first progression is him all the time, and one of the things about a lot of teams' success is that they're able to spread the wealth and they don't focus on one guy, and then the top receiver eventually gets his numbers because he makes plays because you've opened it up because you'll go anywhere on the field. And we've seen Hurts do this, force the ball towards him a couple of times, mostly last season, where you're forcing it at him, but they can't run the football right now. That's the key problem. Right.
It's the biggest problem. And again, from a receiver standpoint, if we're saying we can't run the ball, then I'm the next best option, right? Throw me the ball. But, that organization has done a really, really good job over the last couple of years. They've always dealt with stuff in Philadelphia. That's just the way it is. And so they've dealt with it. And I think that winning a couple of games in a row will right the ship, and he makes a couple plays, and, they'll be right there. I mean, they're too good of a football team not to be.
Well, I mean, again, that's they're going to struggle, I think, until they are able to establish the run, and
Right,
so that
right.
is not something that you're going to get with vibes. You're going to have to
Well,
get the
their
job done.
team is not built for them to throw the ball around. We know that, and
Right.
so they got to get the ball to Saquon and get him going, get some of that zone read stuff going with Jalen, and then all of a sudden, uh, Smith is open, Brown is open, the tight end is open, everybody's open when you get that running game going.
Yeah, but I mean, you look around the NFC, nobody scares you. Green Bay doesn't scare you. You look at Detroit, they lose to Kansas City. Who are you afraid of? The Rams are up and down. They're not dominant. I like,
Cowboys beat Cowboy.
yeah. And so now all of a sudden you got a team like Carolina winning games that you didn't anticipate them winning. You got the Bears winning last night, games that you didn't anticipate them winning. They're 3-2 on the season. So it's a topsy-turvy season. And in the AFC, you sort of said that the expectations generally were low for the Dolphins, but the bottom has fallen out. I think it's after seeing the post-game press conference and all the stuff that's going on, and they just continue to find ways to lose. I think it's time to blow it up. And this may mean the end of Tua Tagovailoa as a starter in this league. It's kind of like that. I don't
Well,
know how much
again,
longer
it
you can.
comes down to money, though. It's easy to say Tua Tagovailoa out the league, but the Dolphins just gave him his $200 million contract. Next year if they would have let him go, the salary cap hit would be like 38 million. There's nothing you can do but let him play and play that contract out until it's reasonable to get rid of him. It's particularly when you already got Tyreek, you got Jalen Phillips, you got all of these guys that's making money, and none of it's worked out. But yeah, they're gonna blow it up though. The general manager and the head coach, they both gone.
Yeah,
Man.
and that's a shame because they had an exciting product and a really, really exciting offense for a couple of years there. And even then, they had the lead and they kicked the ball off, and you give up like what, a 40-yard return. Then you give the opposition the ball on the 40-yard line. That's a couple of plays, and there you have it. You essentially just gave the game away, and it was. And there's been a couple of times this season they've done that.
Well, I think it's been 3 of the 4 games, 3 of the 6, what is it, 5 games they've lost. They've been winning in the last with 3 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, and
And
that's
they just can't lose like that.
and then you get on there talking about guys not coming to the meetings. That A, you don't do that, and B, if they're not coming, that's an indictment of you as the leader of the team. So you think you're throwing shade at them? You're really throwing shade at yourself for not commanding the room. You
Well,
know.
the bigger issue with that is you may have gotten to the meeting on time, but on Sunday you threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah,
So
the last one was meaningless, but it still wasn't a good look. So
right,
yeah,
it's
from
the
that
timing
standpoint,
of you saying something like that. I mean, if you
yeah.
came and balled out, okay, you can say it probably or possibly, but you can't say it in a game when you throw that many interceptions and don't play well.
Seems like he has a problem taking accountability from what I've heard over the last couple of weeks that he doesn't quite take his share of blame. Am I off with
Yeah.
that?
He's a guy who really don't want to say anything. So when he says something, it sounds stupid because he don't want to be the guy that's out in front. He hasn't, and up until this year, this is the most he's ever talked.
Well,
But
now we know why.
right, because you
he
say
didn't-
crazy stuff.
right, he doesn't know how to. And then the Titans fired their coach. I think Ken Ward has got something, and
Right.
I think that they need to find a way to get somebody in there that can coach him up. But that is a roster that is devoid of real talent. I mean, Pollard is nice. That's a number 2 guy. You got Calvin Ridley, a number 2 guy, not a true number 1. You had Burks, who hasn't quite panned out, a little banged up, but he's not a number 1 receiver. You don't have a really offensive tight end. You're not a productive in the pass game tight end. You defensively, you're just okay. You know what I mean? So they have
Well,
problems.
Well, with these types of moves, the organization is trying to send a message to somebody, but I'm not sure who that is because the firing doesn't make sense. You knew they were going to struggle. Maybe you didn't know they were going to struggle this bad, but you should have. You got a rookie quarterback. You know, he's going to be growing pains, et cetera, et cetera. So to fire the coach, I just don't know what it does for anybody.
Well, speaking of, you talk about, I mean, there are other coaches that are on the hot seat. I would say, with all the criticism coming out of New York, Aaron Glenn might
Oh,
be one and done,
man,
because
that's
that thing
crazy.
is falling apart, and he made
Man,
some decisions that and you do not get the margin of error anymore. You can't make those mistakes. It's too much competition for those jobs, and when you get the shot, you better be ready, because if it gets away from you, you lose respect from your own team, your own guys, let alone the media in the city. And that's not a good city to get off to a bad start in, not the way that the Jets have. They may not win a game, man. And Fields is clearly not a starting NFL quarterback. And I think a lot of people who said he should have been the guy in Pittsburgh need to take a look at that. So, I mean,
well, I wonder why. You know, I'm in a lot of the Twitter spaces, so I go in the Jet spaces and listen a lot to what they're talking about. You know, typically any AFC East team, you know, I'm in the Twitter spaces listening and seeing what they're talking about. And the fact that Justin Fields won't even throw the ball, like they say that he's like afraid to throw it, and now he's not running it anymore. So they're really struggling with it. So it's crazy.
yeah. So, like I said, the NFL is wide open. I think Indianapolis is the biggest surprise.
Yeah.
I think that with all the chaos around the NFL, all of a sudden the Texans don't seem so bad, but they have a Monday night game against Seattle. I don't see them beating Seattle. I just, the way Darnold's playing, and Jigba, that duo, they're doing work over there. And then you got a guy in Walker the third that can run the football, and Charbonnet, the backup, is a guy that can do some things. And I mean, they got the goods, and to go up there is not going to be an easy task. It's not insurmountable, but you clearly not favorites. But all in all, with as bad as the AFC is, the AFC North is just, I mean, Baltimore is just, I've never seen, I mean, I have to think about that, but you rarely do you see a team this decimated by injuries. But the same thing for San Francisco. But I think more Baltimore than any other team in the NFL right now.
Well, when you depend on Lamar Jackson the way that they depend on him, and you miss him, you got so many holes on defense. Which again, I look at them from a culture standpoint and say they just plug and play because of the culture around defense over there, and the way that they've just been getting run through and just dismantled on defense is shocking to me. I would have never guessed that defense will be performing the way it is. But also with the Texans that you brought up, I mean, you know, they put two together, you know, and starting to see a little bit of things happening. The young running back is starting to come along a little bit. So I give them a puncher's chance up there in Seattle.
Yeah, I'm not feeling real confident in where they are. I don't think that they can be the kind of running team that they want to be. CJ had created some confidence beating up on Baltimore, but you're beating up on guys that are not collectively, like you can plug and play if you plugging in two and you have nine that are the same guys. You
Right,
can't plug and play 10 starters.
right,
And
of
that
course.
seems to be what's happening. I mean, you talk
Right.
about Hamilton, and I
They
mean,
decimated.
Roquan Smith. I mean, and then Lamar Jackson. And so, and not that they were great
And I
before that,
mean, all of those are boss players
right? And they're not easily replaceable.
at all.
Like, you can replace one if you got the other horses, but if you missing a bunch of the horses, this is what you get, and
I
they're
agree
not
with
deep
that.
at all. Yeah, they're not deep enough to survive this one. So that's pretty tough. Couple other things before we get out of here. We do a thing on here called the Lamont Award, right? The Lamont Award is for the big dummy of the episode. And I have to say, man, LeBron, first of all, LeBron is so not my guy that he creates the decision number 2, and he chooses a liquor that I don't even like. And so that's how I know LeBron is not my guy. He went with Hennessy, and it looked like some kind of weird Hennessy. It wasn't regular Hennessy. What is it? Was it flavored Hennessy? What are you doing, man? You got people trying to sue him. Like, come on, man. You are a big dummy for that, you know.
Well,
You're reliving a trauma that really still haunts your career. If you really want to think about it, it still hangs over his head. I mean, obviously he's overcome that, but that's in the closet somewhere, and it's never that far behind him. And then you relive this thing, you revive this horrible thing that you did. I guess you're trying to make light of it, and it was funny that people bought into this and bought tickets thinking he was going to retire. But then you do all of this and you do it for Hennessy?
and you might as well did it for Mad Dog.
Come on, man. What do you think of LeBron, man?
He could have went with Remy, man. He could have went with
something.
Remy.
Own. Do your own brand like everybody else.
One, you look at it and have you seen any numbers on how much he made? I mean, how much? How
I'm
much
sure
do
it's
you
a
think?
lot.
If you had to say,
I don't know, man. I don't know. I hope it was a lot to go out on a limb for Hennessy. You know what I mean?
I mean,
he's a rich guy and a savvy businessman and all of those things.
That's the only thing that I could say.
Oh yeah,
and
he's paid.
Doing it for the hood, man. Sometimes we just do it for the hood. I get. That's the only thing that I could say.
So if you were gonna endorse a liquor,
I don't think that that's a move that any of the greats make besides you. You know what I mean?
Hey, don't say that. Don't say that. Billy D. Williams did do Coke 45, and he's a true great. He is a great. Okay. I used to do an imitation of Coke 45. Coke, I'm Billy G. Williams drinking a Coke 45. I bet you Billy D. Williams never had a Coke 45 in his life. So no, you can't say the greats don't do it. If you had one liquor that you would not want to endorse, what would it be? You would just say, no, I can't do it.
Cisco.
You turn it down?
That's liquid crack.
Yeah, and that's also looking out for your people, being like, man, I'm not gonna poison my neighborhood. I ain't gonna. If it's me, anything flavored, I'm not with. Apple Crown, Peach Crown, Chocolate Crown. I'm not doing any of that. So I just give me liquor. It could just be Acme liquor. I'll do Acme liquor, but I'm not doing flavored drinks, man.
Now, the problem too that I have with LeBron is at his age, because I could see me at 25, maybe 30, connecting with Hennessy, although it's never been one of my top cognacs. I've never, it just ain't never been good to me like that. I've always drinking cognac, but it's always been Remy.
Right.
But I could see me at 25 or 30 thinking that's a good idea. I'm repping for my hood.
He probably gets part ownership or something, man. The deal was really, really good if he signed it. He got paid.
Yeah.
But I just think that I think the more important thing is that I think that this is probably. You asked me this the other day off, in a conversation, but it's kind of feeling like this might be the end for him. Sciatica, he's gonna sit back and observe the team. I don't know. It's feeling like that's something.
I mean,
that's
Father
old
Time
people
catches
injury.
with us all. It just catches up with us, and if he doesn't make another basket, he's had one hell of a career.
Right.
There are arguments about where he lands. Some put him in the top 3. I don't necessarily do that. Definitely in the top 5 or 6 of all time. Longevity, all of the stuff that comes along with who LeBron is. But man, again, give me some of that Bronny.
That's what we're gonna call Henny now. That Bronny.
Yeah,
Oh
I know they
wow,
get
that
so
is
quiet.
not a good. By the way, just for those who are interested, I am into bourbon now, and I've been doing more on the wine side too. A little bit of tequila as I'm going with the reposado, trying to trying to see what we dealing with here in that space. But right now, I'm bourbon, so I'm off the Canadian whiskey, which of course that was 40 Creek for me, which is better than Crown. But Crown was my drink, my go to. So there's that. Also, this Super Bowl thing with Bad Bunny is getting just ridiculous. Just the protest, the alternative halftime. Any thoughts on any of that craziness?
The world is crazy, man. It's
It's
just
what?
crazy and none of it makes any sense. And again, I think it's one of those things where we talk about this all the time. The extremists on both ends of these things are just crazy, man.
Well, we talking about the extremists on one end. We ain't talking about both. We talking about them. Like,
Well,
no,
I'm
that we.
saying in this situation, yes. I mean, who cares who the Super Bowl? I mean, I it's the Super Bowl. You get all the different types of audience. The NFL has become international. You let different people. There's a and I'll just say this for the Latino community, and I'll say this for sure in Houston. The Latino community in Houston carry them damn Texans. I mean, you go
Oh
to the
yeah,
game and
Dallas too.
I mean, yes. I mean, you go to the game and these people at the game, they tailgating, they enjoy the experience. They carry the Texans, man. I would venture to say at a given game, you might have more Latino people there than anybody. 'Cause, I mean, they just love the Texans. And so I, it's so stupid, man.
Yeah, it is, and again, it's for one particular purpose. That's what it's all about. Now, like quite frankly, I don't know his music. I know that it's not my thing. Not because he's Latino, because a lot of that stuff that's halftime. I'm not that demographic anymore. So it doesn't move me anyway. Who was it? It was Kendrick Lamar, and obviously that came off of the rap beef. I wasn't super into a lot of Kendrick. Obviously, I was familiar with him, and I thought he did a great job. But it was not like, oh my gosh, I got to see Kendrick Lamar. I thought it was interesting because he does have a political slant, and I thought, okay, he could do something, which he did. He sent a lot of subliminal messages and a lot of imagery. But also the thing with Drake was what drove kind of the interest there. But beyond that, man, most Super Bowls, I don't care. I really don't care. And to make it a thing is, I mean, they're just really politicizing something that is just, you don't need to do that. Although he slants political too. And so maybe they're combating what they perceive to be a political statement by the NFL and really by Jay-Z, who sort of producing all of this stuff. So I don't know, man. I just think that it's just another example of where we are and how this, life these days in America is just not as much fun. And, everything is everything. And I'll end with this: the Mark Sanchez situation. Pretty bizarre stuff, man. You have to believe narcotics were involved. What's your take on that? I mean, he jumps on a 69-year-old man and damn near got killed.
Man, I mean, damn, you wake up and you never know what you're gonna see, right? I mean,
Right.
Mark Sanchez has been a pretty good guy. He's played at USC, played in NFL with the Jets, and then now
On TV.
and doing games, and all of a sudden he on damn get a felony and in the hospital. But that just tells you be careful who you mess with, man. You got to just be
Yeah.
damn sure careful.
Yeah, you do it down
69,
here. You ain't gonna get
69.
maced.
Hey,
Yeah.
it's a new 69. These ain't no old ass men no more.
Hey
Apparently.
man, I ain't never known an old man you can fool with. They cut you back then.
Hey, them
You
switchblades.
know what I'm saying?
They got them rusty blades, man.
Man, look, well, my neighbor had a blackjack. You ever seen a blackjack? A weighted blackjack is
Yeah.
leather with metal at the end of it.
Yeah.
And man, he hit you that a couple times. That'll make you sit down. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I wonder what happens with Mark Sanchez now. I mean, he
He's
was
going to
on.
plead that thing out and pay a
Yeah.
lot of money to that old guy.
Yeah.
And you better pray that there's no video or the video never reaches the public, because if it does, he'll never work again.
Well,
As it stands, he probably won't work again in media.
there's a video. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but if that comes out, if TMZ gets a hold of that, you saw what it did to Diddy. They opened a whole new case on Diddy. They had forgotten about Diddy. And after that video, all of that stuff started to tumble out. And if this happens to Sanchez, obviously, I think either way, I mean, not that this is important in the grand scheme of things, but from a career standpoint, I think he's done being a national figure. Whatever burden he's carrying, he sure did handle it the wrong way. If narcotics were in fact involved, but just a bizarre thing amongst so
Crazy.
many bizarre things that are going on. Stephen A. Smith and people sending messages to him. He's another one, and we talked a little bit about that. But
Did you see the Sean Jackson one?
no, I
Is it
saw
Sean Jackson? Is that his name?
who was
The
that?
the guy from the San Antonio.
No, I didn't see.
Yeah,
What?
he sent a message to Stephen A. like, say, bro, sit down somewhere, man.
Yeah, well, Ply sent one. He didn't mention him by name, but everybody knew who he was talking about. And
Jackson from San Antonio. I want to say
Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson,
Stephen
yeah.
Jackson. Yes.
From the Golden Triangle. Yeah, he H-Town guy. Yeah,
Did you see
H-Town
that?
ties.
Did you
He's
see his?
around. I heard about it, but yeah, but Durant tried to tell us a long time ago what it was, which again, it was, so I got to the point where I don't even watch his show at all. And I'm done, because if you go on and your beef among the whole landscape, your beef is with Jasmine Crockett, a black woman, and some of the things you said about Kamala, like just dismissing her, like who cares what she had? Like, bro, you're doing too much, man. And you serving your purpose, whatever that is. But again, it's just that is disappointing. That is disappointing when you just see, But again, cats in the league, they know, pro athletes, they know what it is. And, we'll see how this will affect his career, if at all. I know that he's pivoting to be something else, because he started with the whole, well, people, come to me asking me if I was going to run for president. Get your ass out of here. Nobody's talking about, and I want to use stronger language. Even in these days, that's unbelievable. So come on, man. Even with all that we have seen come to fruition, that is insane. So
No, man. I now that's where I disagree with you, man. We got, unfortunately, an electorate that is ignorant, man.
Yeah.
It's just so at this point, there were, maybe 10 years ago you could say, but now, man, in the current, again, we talked to this before, man. People have just lost the ability to be embarrassed by anything, and when when nobody's embarrassed about anything, you can have anything happen, and then ain't gonna. Then would it surprise you if Stephen A was to become the president?
Oh yeah, because yeah. Hey, I don't know.
Surprise? You wouldn't
I would
like it. I
be.
don't know if it's with surprise. When you think you're saying it was
I don't think
surprise.
that there will be a black man in the White House for another 50 years. Now, him, Westmore, anybody, I like real qualified candidates
Okay,
don't have a
coming from
chance.
that perspective, I might can agree with you, but hey, man, it's an ignorant electorate around here, man.
But even you talk to the fellas, you've been in the barbershop. Ain't nobody said about Stephen A. Smith being president. Nobody. Half the time, you don't even worry about his sports takes. You and I know his sports takes about Eddie were way uninformed and like buffoonish. I mean,
Right.
that's in sports. This supposed to be your day to day. This your every day. If you can't
Well,
get
I
that
don't.
right, I'm supposed to trust you with the government.
Well, I think that's where he is so, so baseline, so shallow, based on his ability to watch games and see what's going on. So that he said something before. He said, "I don't get paid to do something. I get paid to talk about sports." And he talks about it on the periphery. And
Right.
anybody who takes him serious they don't know sports. And I don't think he knows. I believe that he knows he don't know sports. He just
Right.
get to say crazy, outlandish stuff about sports.
And I think hence the pivot. But I think what I will give him credit for is it's hard to captivate an audience every day for a couple of hours a day. It's hard. It's not an easy thing to do to still stay relevant. I mean, I think his act will eventually run. Politics aside, I think his shtick will sort of run, but there's no heir apparent. They've not been able to put together a chemistry for a day-to-day show. So that tells you how hard it is to
Well,
get that.
I'll tell you this. I remember him in Philadelphia when I lived in Dover, Delaware, and he was on the radio in Philly so we could listen to it. And this has been him since the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you give him all the credit in the world for
Yeah.
making himself. But now you're going, it's a bridge too
You're
far.
doing too much.
Yeah, you're doing way too much. And what I always say is that, ultimately, do you I believe now, but some people don't believe you owe anybody anything. It's your life. You do what you want with it. I do think that you have a moral obligation, especially in this country, to say, hey, I'm not going to do anything detrimental to the masses. Now, you may take a check that that you probably wouldn't otherwise take, but there's a line somewhere, and you got to find your line that you're not going to cross. And if you cross that line, I think it's fair for if you're gonna endorse things that are anti your group. I think that it is fair to have that kind of criticism. So again, you have freedom to be whatever you want to be and do, and you're not necessarily beholden if you don't have that code. But my code says that, what, I can do a lot of stuff, and I may be a lot in the gray area when it comes to money, but what I'm not going to do is overtly do something that will be detrimental or attack, my folks. You know what I mean? Whatever
Yeah.
that looks like.
Yeah. You make a great point about moral compass. And I would suggest that everybody doesn't have that. And sometimes look at me and look what I've accomplished, and I want to accomplish more will take over, man, and it becomes like a drug, and these people will do anything.
And I do think that, that we know that you can sort of wear that weight around your shoulders for a lot of stuff, because you're going to, soon, the moment you succeed, you're going to start taking those arrows that you're not real anymore. You're not this, you're not that. I mean, we know all of the stuff that comes with it on both sides. When you talk about, if you have a measure of success, you can't give everybody everything. And I think that when you don't, you're going to get criticism like that. You got to be okay with that. But at the same time, man, got to have a code, man. Whatever that looks like, whatever that line is, it's got to be definitive. And from my standpoint, I think he's violating the code, and he's getting to a point where some of the people that he goes after, it's a certain demographic, it's a certain gender, and a certain racial demographic that he tends to be leaning a little bit heavier on than other groups. And I guess that's interesting enough to have that conversation on my dad's birthday. My dad, just to let you know, did an album back in the late 70s called Who Killed the Dreamer. And what he was talking about was it was about Martin Luther King. It was during that point where a lot of people were pushing the King's birthday as a national holiday. You remember that Stevie Wonder song,
Right, of course.
"Happy Birthday to You," but that's about Martin Luther King.
Mhm.
Trying to make that, I mean, if you go back to the lyrics, that's about making the King's birthday a national holiday. Whereas a part of that, there were a lot of people politically active, and he made an album, a spoken word out. I guess you would call it spoken word, but it was speeches, and called "Who Killed the Dreamer." And
Man, you gotta let me check that out, man.
I'll send you the YouTube
Man, how
clip.
you gonna be holding on to that, bro?
Oh, it's been on YouTube and on Facebook. On my Facebook through the years. I might repost it for his birthday today. But
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
so I'm thinking about him. Now, I love BB King, Bobby Bland,
Yes,
Aretha.
sir.
Loved Aretha. That was my dude. So I miss him. I miss him all the time, man. But
Yeah, for
what
sure.
he put, I still hear his voice. If I have a decision to make, I know what he tell me. And
Right there.
so for that reason, I never do a Stephen A Smith kind of move. I can guarantee you that
Definitely.
part. So yeah, thinking about that, and now that's an appropriate subject for my dad's birthday. But
Very good.
final thoughts before we close it out, man.
Well, again, celebrations to you and your dad on his birthday, man. And, I've been experienced that, and my dad's birthday always brings me back great feelings and who he was and what he stood for as a man. So congratulations to you for having the kind of dad that you had. And yeah, we celebrate
Yeah.
him today.
Yeah, miss him. So we'll be on the lookout. Rockets preseason basketball. I'll be peeking in on them and the Pelicans. I'll be on. Shouts out to Nate Griffin. I've been on Fox. I'll be on Fox tomorrow morning 9. You won't probably. I don't know if this will post before I'll be on, but I'll be on. Usually I've been on once a week these days, so I'm getting more TV time. So that's been a whole lot of fun. Thanks to Nate Griffin, almost exclusively. I mean, it's him that's showing love, and I certainly appreciate that. And so we'll keep our eye on everything. Till then, I want to remind folks, subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Devin Wade. Also, on the Sports Line, 832-941-6614. And, of course, Facebook, Sports Talk with Devin Wade group. And you can subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. And check us out on YouTube and like and share and all that fun stuff. And
Let's
hey, man,
go.
until next time, remember these 4 things.
Number 1, I don't do no favors after 6 o'clock in the evening. 2, I ain't got no money. 3, I'm not harboring any fugitives from justice. And 4, bye.
This has been the Sports Talk with Devin Wade podcast. Remember, you can follow him on Twitter at Wade's Word. Thank you for listening.